the frustration of first not being accepted by my professors to mark my work, and the fact that I'm now creating work that I'm thinking it's garbage because the LGBTI community is being looked at as garbage. So I started banning the work. My initial artwork, basically at university, after college, it started off with basics of metaphors of prisons, metaphors of, I got all my concepts were from the 2019, it was 2009 gay bill. It's Kill the Gay Bill. So all my work rotated with the metaphors of what the government had put into this law that many people had not sat down and looked at the articles and what is into this law. So as an artist, I was like, how can I educate my LGBTI people to be conscious about this law, but through the art? So I started off with just metaphors of picking up, small basics, like imprisonment, killings, and how can you bring this to the society? How can they visualize it as people who don't know any art? How can they just look at it and get triggers and get into safety zones? So that is how my career started off. The gay law is there, but it's political, it's politics. And that took me to the first solo show that I had in New York about our history. Where does the gay part come in our history? Because it has names associated in our languages and it's been there. That means they've been gay people forever, they've been there. And when you look into then I started doing my research and I realized we had a gay king who they never talked about it. They don't talk about it. And when you also look at the practices by then in the kingdom, I'm not so sure if they still exist, where not even gay boys, where feminist boys would just come and dance for the queen, for the king, and parents would just give in their boys just to dance for the king. And it's normal and it's not gay. They don't call it gay, but we have words associated to gayism. So Kuchu word is a Swahili word that activists by then, I think that gone to Nairobi, Kenya, where homosexuality is, people don't talk about it, it's not illegal. So most of the activist meetings or LGBTI huge meetings go to either Rwanda or Tanzania or Kenya, but not Uganda. So that's where they got this term. It's a Swahili term to mean gay. So they came with that term back home and it just, we just call ourselves Kuchu, and then who knows even what Kuchu means? Nobody knows. It's only people who have been in the LGBTI community that know that term. It's a hidden term to mean gay. And then Ebisiyaga takes us back to our history of the fact that as an artist now I'm trying to find out where do we belong in our history. And we have this term, which means it's lived before us. It's lived many, many years, even before we lived. And it's a term that was got by our great-grandparents to mean, it's basically a sugarcane husks, and those are the worst, non-recyclable. I don't know if they're even recyclable. Not even insects recycle them because there's nothing sweet about them. Yes, so that was a term. It's in our language. So it means Ebisiyaga is in our history. It's meant gay people. Yeah, they're rubbish. They're trash. So as a creative person, that's where I pick the trash to beauty. So my earlier works, even when you look at my works now, it's been a journey now. You're looking at tires, which is another whole story, and the bicycle lane, but I also still use a lot of recycled material. I recycle a lot, just to create beauty out of the recycle, all the trash. The reason why I banned my work, it actually started off from the frustration of first not being accepted by my professors to mark my work, and the fact that I'm now creating work that I'm thinking it's garbage because the LGBTI community is being looked at as garbage. So I started banning the work, and I was just banning it out of frustration. And when you put all the plastics together and start melting them, the forms they kind of form, to me they felt like paintings. It felt relieving. And it was also beautiful, but that was out of frustration. And then one of my professor, Margaret Nagawa, who is now, I don't know if she's still doing her PhD in Georgia. So she came to my studio one day and told me, this is not healthy for you, what you're doing, because it's getting into your lungs. You don't want to get cancer out of what you're doing. So I kind of started revising that. And that is how now, why don't I just burn the wood? So, it's concepts that came out slowly by slowly. But that is the story that led me to the burning part of it. Like I've told you, I'm so interested about where I grew up and where my origins are, which is Buganda in the central. And we have 52 clans. And the 52 clans given by our great ancestors through the animals, the plants, the hills, or mountains, or the lakes around. So people in a particular area would be maybe called people from the jaguar family. Why? Because maybe there are many jaguars around that area, pythons, plants, depending on where people came from. That is what I've read about, because I'm also reading. And the most fascinating part about the clans, I come from the Antelope clan. But what is so fascinating about the clans, I cannot get married to anybody in my clan. And every kid that is born has to have a clan, no matter what. And you have to be given a name from your clan, no matter what. So what is very interesting that I always laugh about, and how I started coming up with the clan thing, when my dad said he's no longer my father, and I'm like, but that doesn't take away my clan, my clan and my clan name. So when I tell it to my friends, my gay community friends, they're like, oh, I also come from this clan, that clan. So we all have clans that we are associated with. And that is what drove me to now do artworks to create our own clans, of our own clans. Of course, our parents don't want us in their clans. We can have our own clans and just create art, and give them our names. And it's so interesting when I give them names, and they have beards, and then I give them names of women. And friends are like, what is going on? That looks like a man. I'm like, I don't care. That's my clan. Because nobody's going to take away this name from these works. And nobody's going to take away our clan names, however much our parents say, oh, you're no longer my kid. Don't come back to the family. We still have these clans that we still belong to. And about the queen mothers, because the king is the only person who is allowed to marry from the mother's clan. The reason why it was done like that, so that we don't have one king just in one clan for generations and generations. So our great-grandfathers, I think, were smart to say, okay, every king that is going to be next king marries from the mother's clan, so that that clan also gets an opportunity to have a king in there. One crazy part, King Mwanga was from the Antelope clan. King Chua, who is also said to have had, gay, have had, male friends, lovers. He's also from the Antelope clan. I'm from the Antelope clan. I don't know. So that helps every clan to have a king in generations. So right now our king is from the Langfish, and my grandfather is from the Langfish. So this is my grandfather from the Langfish. I never created a big piece like this in Uganda because glazes were only for professors, and making a certain sizes of work were for majors in ceramics. So I don't remember glazing any work back home. So when I got here and then learned about glaze, so all my works is excitement. Now they're coming down, but the earlier works, it was too much. I would just get into the ceramic studio, I don't ask no question, and they just show me glaze, I just pour tons of glaze. It's, through excitement. Now I'm calming down. But once in a while I get excited to just see what happens. So I also I don't record the glazes because I want every work to look different. And I just apply glazes. I don't care if this is underglaze on, I just break all these ceramic rules. Being a major in wood carving from college, that I exhausted. I have the techniques, I can just wake up and just carve in a minute and come up with a piece, something I always never say. But of course people always are now knowing because I know people are following me all over the place. I can't hide anymore. So with carving, because I don't draw my sculptures, I have them imaginary. So I just get a chainsaw and it takes me a minute, like drawing. Because that I've done for a long time, and it's in there. It's like, chainsaw is like a pencil. We don't have sculpture. Wood carvings, where I come from, in Buganda, and I think all over the country, we don't have any masks. So we basically read about West African masks, and they all have things that, they're all made for a purpose. They all have hidden meanings. So when I started getting onto the journey of activism using art, it took me back to my earlier study of West African masks, and I started, reproducing them. But before that, I was reproducing them on a purpose of the fact that LGBTI people or gay people never wanted to come out of the audience to be seen. And I just decided to use the mask for protection. So I was just doing these masks for people just to hide behind them. And that kind of, kept on growing.